But moving on to kind of the gaming world here, we have the I guess at E3, what was it, Monday or so? I
It was
think
Monday. Yep.
Monday sometime they dropped the first trailer for their Avengers game, and I think aside from I don't know, you're more so the expert of this, but is this the first kind of like big Avengers game to be on like a as far as like a AAA game?
So it depends. Obviously you have like single character games like Spider-Man that came out last year. That was a huge hit.
Yeah.
That was a really good game. And then you have, back for the PlayStation 2 era, you had the Ultimate Alliance games.
Hmm.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, which were
Yeah.
dungeon crawling, 4-player co-op, every Marvel character you would want in there.
Hmm.
Then you have the fighting games like Marvel vs. Capcom and things like that. This is the first Avengers game in a long time where it's strictly Avengers.
Hmm.
It's it's published by Square Enix, which Square Enix, if you're not familiar, they're in charge of the Final Fantasy series, the Kingdom Hearts series, but they also have across, the pond division where they make Tomb Raider and Just
Okay.
Cause and games like that. So this is by the same company that the people developing it. It's the same developer that made the Tomb Raider games, the most recent Tomb Raider games.
And those are really good games.
Yes, they're very cinematic. They're very they have a lot of exploration, a lot of really cool character moments. They're good games. I don't know if they're my favorite game series, but they're good games, and it definitely revitalized the Tomb Raider franchise because it was wallowing for a long time. I'm a little skeptical of this game.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out May of next year.
Right.
It's They didn't show us a whole lot of gameplay with it, and
Had
what
you
they did wasn't super impressive.
Right. Had you heard about this prior to this
Yes.
at E3? Okay, okay.
So
I had not.
a couple years ago, they showed like a teaser, which was it showed like there was a voiceover. I don't remember what they said, but it was about like rebuilding or the typical Avengers kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it had a shield on the ground and Thor's
Okay.
hammer and a Iron Man gauntlet kind of like flickering, like the Avengers had gotten beaten up. And then we didn't hear anything about it till this E3.
I see.
So and they made it very clear during the press conference it has no relation to the MCU. It's its own story.
Yeah.
It's similar in a lot of ways. It's a realistic look at the Avengers. It's not comic booky. It's almost like they wanted to make an MCU movie, but they weren't approved to do it, so they said we'll make our own version of it. And to me, that's what's scary about it is how is a video game like this going to live up to the story that we just had unravel in front of us in Endgame and Infinity War and all that stuff? And the answer is it's not, regardless of
Yeah.
what it does. Hopefully, it's a fun to play game, and that makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. I guess for me, someone who doesn't really play video games that much, and it did feel weird seeing kind of it's sort of they're using the voice actors, who I don't really know any of these people.
They're pretty big voice actors in
Are
the
they?
video game. Troy Baker and Nolan North are like the Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt of video game voice acting,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
So they're it's a pretty big deal in video game circles. Like I don't remember which is which. I always get them confused, but one of them plays Nathan Drake in the Uncharted games.
Mhm.
Troy Baker played when Mark Hamill stopped being the animated Joker. Troy Baker was the guy who
Oh.
took over as the Joker. So
Okay.
they're both a pretty big deal. And then the other people are no slouches either. They're all recognizable names in voice acting.
Oh. But I guess for me, coming from this perspective, it like I think the controls. I mean, we don't really get a good perspective of what the actual controls. This all seems to be a lot of just cinematics. There might be a couple moments in this thing where it's like actually like player controlled. I don't know. Maybe not, but it was very jarring, especially coming off of Avengers Endgame, seeing different faces and different voices to characters that we've sort of grown to love over the last 11 years right now.
Right.
And you know, like Captain America's rocking like the same type of like suit that he is in, you know, previous Avengers movies. It might be a little bit different, but it's close enough to where it's like, okay, that I feel like should be Chris Evans under that mask, but it's not him, and his face looks different. The Hulk, I'm kind of, I don't really care about that much about, because the Hulk's always going to look like the Hulk in my
Right.
opinion. But I don't know, like hearing a different like Australian or English guy playing Thor, it felt different. I don't know. It's just, it might take some getting used to, but
Right.
I liked seeing Abomination in that trailer towards
Yeah.
like the end bit there.
Yeah, he's very underutilized as a villain.
Yeah.
Abomination's dope.
Yeah, that movie in general is just underrated in my opinion, but
agreed.
I don't know, like, am I going to be somebody who goes out and buys this opening day? I don't really think so. But at the same time, like you said, you're somebody who's really invested in video games. You have a goddamn YouTube channel dedicated to video games daily, as well as a Kingdom Hearts podcast.
Thank you. Yes.
And even
it was a good plug.
You're still really hesitant on this game, so
I don't know if hesitant's the right word, but when they were definitely hyping this up beforehand, like, hey, we're finally going to show our Avengers game. We're finally going to show our Avengers game, and what they showed, it was a lot of buzzword talk during the conference. Like, they had two guys talking about it, and they were like, "Hey, true believers, like you're going to be the Avengers," and it was just kind of like they didn't really tell us anything about the game, and then they didn't really show us anything about the game. So to me, with less than a year away from release, and they don't have a lot of good stuff for us to see, that's scary to me. But I could be very wrong. The Captain America suit, when you're talking about that, I saw someone online say the difference between him and me is I'm not wearing hockey pads, and they showed Chris Evans and then that one, because it does kind of look like a hockey pad.
It does, yeah, it totally does.
And I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, we found the stunt doubles for the end game," and I was like, "Oh, ouch." But I'm applauding them for taking on a different look at it, especially. But I just think it's gonna be that's a really tough hill for them to climb.
It is,
and that's gonna, to be frank, that's gonna be a tough hill for Marvel Studios to climb.
Yeah,
for movies, I don't know how they're gonna top what they already did. So, we'll see. I have high hopes for the game, but I'm a little skeptical because, to me, you got a game coming out in July, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which is the first time that's been out on new consoles, and it's arcadey comic book fun, and I think that's going to be more of a Marvel game for me to play as opposed to this one, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's just I don't think I'm gonna rush outside and buy this thing opening day. So I'll wait and see how kind of the reviews, the earlier reactions of what the story is like. The story looks interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know if they're going to sell me on the gameplay and how much of each character do you get to play throughout the storyline, how all that sort of works.
Right. It remains to be seen for sure. And I'll let you know what I think of it, because I'll probably get it right away just to see. So
yeah,
I'll let you know in a year.
Yeah. Right.